Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Life's Milkshake Moment with health coach Joe D.
Hey there, I'm Dr. Jody Bear, and welcome to Doctor Talk. It is absolutely my honor and delight to debut this new symposium for Traverse TV. I'm America's top foundational health coach, focusing as a pioneer for over 42 years in foundations of health, foundations of living, foundations of hope, in all 6 pillars of human existence: spiritual, physical, mental, emotional, social, and financial. With a client base of over 1 million pounds of toxic fat lost, I'm proud to say, more importantly, during this COVID culture, of helping over 2,000 clients remediate and restore their health, because, like my esteemed colleagues here on this symposium in the Sandbox with me, we know that the body is a miracle-making machine. The body, put in the right condition, can heal itself. You see, health isn't something you do, but it's who you are and what you become along life's journey. The iconic Les Brown, my mentor and coach, said, "It is possible to open up keys to a whole new future for you. All you need to know is that you will have access to those keys, access the power within yourself to say, it's possible. I'm possible, but you are possible too. So take my hand. Let's go and begin this journey with myself and my esteemed colleagues here on Dr. Talk. Come play in our health sandbox. On Dr. Talk here on Traverse TV, we'll be delving into one universal topic of healing. It's a prevailing and ongoing, as I call it, situation. Or as Les Brown says, your diagnosis is not your prognosis if you allow your body to heal itself. So each 4th Thursday at high noon, we'll be bringing together some of the top-tiered human professionals in the health and healing practitioner world on this planet. I guarantee you, together with each of their distinct modalities and focus, and we'll go and talk about one particular part of health. You see, this started in 1985. I became a health coach in 1982. Some of y'all weren't even born then. I found this note card last year when I was cleaning outdoors. Now, I do clean more than like once every 40 years, but it just so happened something fixed on this. It was about the size of a tattered recipe card, about this big. 1985, I found the keys to the kingdom of allowing my youngest son to heal his body from ADHD. I was looking for some of the memorabilia, doing a presentation as I did for some healing practitioners and their parents this week going for back to school. What did I find? When I was finding the memorabilia, I found this note card. It was dated 1985, and it said, I will create a movement to create our own Western version, which the Western version is a PDR, physician's desk reference, our own Eastern version to complement the PDR. And that's what we've been doing, starting with this group, starting with a publication that I'm going to talk about in a minute, and how we're bringing together in our Ignite Your Foundations of Health, this book that I am absolutely honored and said yes to, with the wonderful, wonderful J.B. Owen. I said yes to doing this book, and say yes to you on your health. We are doing a foundational healthopedia. So this is just the beginning. And as I said, I knew bringing these top tier people, I'm going to say, give me five of the top practitioners on planet Earth. Dr. Bill Janeshak, It's from Yorba Linda, California. He integrates NLP, psycho and neurolinguistic programming, into his chiropractic care with functional neurology, functional medicine, rehabilitation, and stress relieving techniques. Boy, he'll have something for us on this. Our second speaker is Dr. Mike VanThielen. He's an acupuncture physician, holistic nutritionist, and PhD. As myself, he is a genomics and biohacking expert, author, speaker, and a world record holder in the sport of swimming. And I want to say, P.S., he was the healer that even this healer went to 22 years ago, and he reversed my situation with stage 4 melanoma. I will always be honoring him for that fact. And that, as he said to me, I'm a competitive swimmer. We're not going to give you 6 months to live. I'm not going to be 0-1. You're my first patient. Thankfully, we are still here and we're doing this kind of work together. And then Dr. Michael Pierce, it goes from Mike to Michael. He is a chiropractic physician. He's in Parker, Colorado, where I used to have my office. He is a natural medicine and chiropractic functional neurologist, combining the invisible disabilities into his work. I'm sure he'll go into that with natural medicine. And then I have Dr. Caxton Opere, who I've had just the privilege and honor this last year and a half to know him as a frontline, absolute healing physician in this COVID era. I've experienced him and his passion for healing every single time we get together, being a part of the Les Brown Consortium and being a coached mentee with Les Brown, as we've done for a year and a half, absolutely once a week. Dr. Caxton is a board certified internal medicine doctor, as I said, frontline COVID MD, author, speaker, and creator of what has now become a new medical modality and a practice. It's called divorce medicine. Quite a cutting edge healer. And Natasha Halladay from Toronto, Ontario. She said it's raining there, but it's always sunny where Natasha is here. She spoke on Mindset Mondays a couple of weeks ago as one of my guests. She's a registered sociologist and therapist who infuses faith and humor into our practice. Don't we need all of this? Don't we need each of what these people can bring? So right after this commercial break, we are going to get this party started. This is from one of our sponsors, Humongous Ads, Humongous Classified Ad Network. And right now, don't we need to know how we can make extra money to relieve the stress in our incoming lives and what we're looking at the incoming future in this economy? So listen to what Peter Mingles of Humongous Ads and Humongous Classifieds has to say right here. Take a watch.
Inflation is going through the roof. Food prices, gas prices, housing prices, insurance, everything. The average family is feeling the pinch. So what can you do? Ask your boss for a 20% cost of living wage increase? That won't end well. Fall for a get-rich-quick scheme? There are people who you can rely on to show you how to make money in a home-based business. Give us a chance to walk you through how it works. It's not really that complicated. You just have to find the right opportunity and the right people. Visit www.humongous.com/TV and submit your information. Maybe we can help. Billions of families are wondering how to work from home and earn extra income.
So welcome back, and welcome back to what we have here with Traverse TV. And I want to let you know, if you followed me, I have a wonderful special charity, La Casa Ropa de Sobre, down in Colombia. And a portion of the proceeds go not only to bring these programs like PBS to you, but also the other portion goes to my orphanage, and it's a housing for the elderly, kind of like myself, who they have no one, and they have such inspiration and wisdom to give. Well, we put these orphans that needed some elderly advice, and we put them together in one house, La Casa Ropa de Sobre. Been doing this for several years now. So a portion of your proceeds that you give as a patron, just like PBS, goes to both of these wonderful organizations. So I am going to bring Dr. Bill Janeshak to talk about our stress relievers. Dr. Bill, I can truthfully say, thank you you were the first person I asked about this. We had a show that went over 50,000 views because of you, your inspiration, your energy and passion and compassion for people. So I want to honor you on our debut here that this happened. And I know that you have so much to offer in your modalities as you do as a chiropractic healer. So take it away on the topic of stress.
Well, thank you. I had no idea that we hit that many views when we did that. I think it was just a great conversation. And actually, some of the other conversations that we would have had that were offline at the time would probably been even more exciting. So kudos to you and congratulations for putting all this together. Isn't it interesting that when, you have I always say, the word became flesh. So what we think about kind of comes to fruition. And when you were talking about, you always wanted to put this together, I bet everybody on this show has had the same thoughts because we kind of like geek out and we want to we want to have a mission and a purpose in life because there's really no other reason to get up in the morning unless you have something to do. And this topic of stress that's kind of been my jam for the last 15, 20 years, is really focusing on stress because, I was always saying before, as a young doctor, I would go, wow, if I just had one more degree or knowledge and just one more thing. And, stress is physical, chemical, and emotional. So I was trying to figure out all the ologies. And if I can fix that, if I can make them do what they need to do. And when we left out the emotional component, which is the biggest driver in today's society, because especially now, there is no shortage of what to do, can you do, you can go on your Instagram, your Facebook or whatever and pick up a practitioner that knows kind of more than you do. I've always found that it was the gap between getting good guidance and leadership and knowing what to do and then doing it consistently. When you were talking about, was it Les that said, health is who you are?
That was me. Health isn't something you do. It's what you become along life's journey.
So that becomes my focus when we're doing is like, who's in front of me, whether it's one-on-one or if it's a group or whatever we're doing, is like, who am I talking to? The person. What are your beliefs? What are your identities? What are your goals? What are your aspirations? What's the fire that drives you within? And sometimes I'll get patients who come in and they'll I have headache, neck pain, back pain, car accident, something that you would go to a chiropractor for, you'd think right off the bat. But when I ask them, I said, well, why do you want to get better? And they look at me like I'm crazy. And I said, well, we can definitely help you, if not just guide you in the direction you want to go. But we have to know where. Hold on.
Oh, we're getting a visual. I can tell.
Yeah, there was funny. My Alexa went off, but as they kind of come in until they get up and they figure out why they want to get better, and that's when the real healing starts, because it comes from just doing a treatment or giving a modality. But what caused the modality? What caused the need for the modality? And it's always the lifestyle. And how are you waking up in the morning? What are you thinking? How are you moving? And that's what we do, because we can go through the physiology and we can go through the neurology. We can go how the body, and it's fascinating to me. I talk to Dr. Mike all the time. He's my guru. When I just have this need to geek out, I'm like, all the patients that I send to him, they call him Mikepedia, because he goes, oh, that dude knows everything and the details and stuff. And then I just thrive on that. And it's a huge, huge piece of what we have to get done, but the rest relies on the person's identity. And we walk around in stress, and it's getting worse and worse because we're being advertised stress. Whether it's the lockdown, the traffic, inflation, the president you like, the president you hate, the local president, your kids, if you're not equipped and seriously trained like an athlete to live your life and overcome stress, you're kind of screwed.
Well, it's so in your last minute here, because I knew this was going to fly by. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do a real symposium after we get these doctor talks off. We can go in. It will be pay-per-view because guess what? These guys don't come cheap. And so they're generous, but they don't come cheap. What would you say that one piece of being president of you to de-stress your life in that emotional pillar? Because that's really what you do. That is your unique take.
You know what? It's funny. I'll make it real quick. So I did a book with Les Brown and Brian Tracy, a conglomeration book. And my chapter in that was to know your truth. And that still kind of rings true is why are you here? What do you believe? Who's your identity? And how do you want to motor through this life? If that's big enough, then you will do you'll eat right. You'll get up early. You'll exercise. You'll do your mobility. You'll sleep great. You'll do everything else because the meat suit is what pulls your spirit through life. And it's
the meat suit, even if that is a Billism, it's a Janeshakism, your meat suit, what you go through life. Thank you so much. And hang around because we're going to bring you back up. Okay.
Oh, I wouldn't miss this. I want to listen to all the other experts. I'm here to learn.
Oh, you were so adorable. And the next one we're going to learn is for that man with a plan, Dr. Mike VanThielen, as we said, an expert. And the reason that I'm here, because he's now 1-0. I was his first patient. I'm still here. Dr. Mike, I think you're muted. So take yourself off mute and give us what you have as your multimodality expertise. And he's also a physical therapist. I forgot that part. So what you got around stress? Give us your 5 minutes. Give me 5.
Yeah, 5 minutes is tough, Jody, but we're not 1-0 anymore. We're 1,000-0 right now. We're winners. So we just want a lot more people on our team. So again, thanks for having us. So what I got about stress, I wanted to take a little bit of different turn here to talk about stress. But to me, we really need to take control of our life, because if we can take control, we create clarity. And the more we are clear about our life, the less stress that we will have. Because we all know that stress basically is a lack of control. It's the unknown. It's being unorganized. It's lack of purpose. It's lack of life goals, like Dr. Bill just mentioned. We need to know what is the fire within us, because what we're doing on a daily basis, Jody, is we're always putting out fires. We're always overwhelmed. We worry about everything. And, we are afraid of failure. We have fear of failure. So we need to get a grip and we need to take control. And I have 2 aspects here that I want to illustrate that with. Number one, I want to illustrate that we as humans, we actually can be in control. We have the ability to be in control. And you heard this before, Jody, but I always like to compare us to animals in the wild, because that's Mother Nature, and Mother Nature is never wrong, period. So what is the major difference between us humans and animals in the wild? And the answer is awareness. We have an awareness. We have the freedom to choose our response to any stimulus, any situation, right? And it's probably our greatest power. And according to the Spider-Man movie, with great power comes great responsibility. Responsibility simply is the ability to respond. See, animals, they have an instinct and they always act according to the laws of Mother Nature in their best interest and in the best interest of their species. That's why they are in perfect health, for example. Now, we humans, we have a choice, when a stimulus presents itself, but we, in general, have been choosing the wrong responses over and over again, which has put us in ill health, in stressful situations, right? Now, luckily, Jody, we have the same power, the same awareness, the same freedom to choose our response, to turn this nonsense around once and forever and choose to be happy and stress-free and disease-free. So what I wanted to say with my first point is that we can be in control, not of just our health, but of our life. So that's our ability. Number two, we talk about control and clarity, because if we're more clear about what's happening on a daily basis, we won't have that stress. So we need to make a to-do list, and we don't have time to, expand on tips and strategies. But here are some bullet points that we really need to pay attention to get that stress out of our life. First of all, we need to know what our dreams are. Most people, when you ask them, they have no clue. We really need to take the time. Who are we? What do we want to achieve? What means success to us? And once we figure that out, most of us haven't yet. Once we figure it out, we need to make that blueprint. Because many of us, we like to think big, and there's nothing wrong with that, because we want to get excited, we want to get that fire, but we can't do that without a plan. Because if we think big, we have these dreams, but we don't have a plan, it's going to be frustrating, and we're always going to be stressed about it, but we're not getting anywhere. We're on a treadmill and we're not getting anywhere. So we need to make that plan. We need to know what we should be doing on a daily basis in order to get those dreams realized.
Daily.
We also got to stop the projects. And we've been there, Jody. We talk about it. We do so many projects at the same time. And we got to stop the projects that do not contribute to our personal goals and dreams. That's why we need a plan. If they don't fit the plan, we got to stop doing those. Okay. Another thing that we need to do is we need to remove many distractions out of our life. I could expand on that, but not today. So we need to get rid of many distractions, and we need to increase our focus, because it's a known fact that focus is far more important than intelligence. We need to focus. We need to be clear about our daily calendar and what we're doing and what we're working on. Because we have about 14,000, I didn't know this, but it's a fact. We have about 14,000 commercial messages coming to us personally on a daily basis. Okay.
Wow.
So,
did you say 14,000?
Yes, 14,000. You can look that up. That's a statistic. But we need to organize that chaos. That's our responsibility. We need to take control of those emails and those texts and this and that, and we need to get organized, right? A lot of us think that multitasking is the way to go, but it's clear that multitasking is a big mistake, right? Because we get two jobs done half-assed versus one job great and another job great, and we don't really save time with it either, and we do a poor job. So it's all about getting control and knowing what we're doing and getting organized. And maybe we need virtual assistant to do that if we're a business person. Maybe we need automatization. Maybe we need some AI or artificial intelligence. But we need to take control of our life. We also need to make a list, and this is just another example before I wrap it up. We need to make a list of the things that we love to do. We need to make a list of what makes us happy. Maybe it's talking to your mom. Maybe it's playing with the dog. Maybe it's going on a date with your wife. And we don't do those things often enough. So in your notes section of your phone, start making that list. Every time you're happy about something, make sure you remember that. And we need to get the things out of our life that induce stress and that we don't like to do. And so there's many tips and many strategies and many things that we can start working on to regain control, not just of our health, but our life. And the more control we have, the more clear we are and the less stress we have. So we really need to script our life. And people usually, when I say that, people say, well, I don't want a scripted life. I want to be spontaneous sometimes. But you can be spontaneous. What you want to script, for example, is on Sunday, it's family day. That's scripted, but you don't have to script what you're going to do on Sunday, because it could be anything. It could be depending on the weather. It could be depending on what the other family members want to do. So it doesn't have to be scripted that way. But you need to gain control over your life, and that will drastically reduce your stress, Jody.
Beautiful. And so we've got the meat suit. We're on a mission. We've got control. We've got clarity. Hang around, Dr. Mike. We'll be back as we go through the horn, and everyone else. Thank you so much. As always, great content, great spirit, great you. So Dr. Michael Pierce, we've gone from California to Florida. Now we're in the Rocky Mountain High of Dr. Michael Pierce, the Michaelpedia. You got your great introduction by Dr. Bill. Give us what is on your heart and mind about stress. Dr. Michael, welcome to Dr. Talk.
Oh, goodness. Thank you so much. This is just a wonderful opportunity. And Dr. Bill is so inspiring. We've known each other for years, and he always says the funniest things. I love it. No, I think the biggest part about stress is to unlearn. It's not learning new things. It's not learning new skills. It's not finding new gurus. It's unlearning stuff that we don't even know plagues us. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we carry with us. We don't even know it's there, and it blocks us and it drags us down. And I think finding that and getting rid of it is the hardest part and the most rewarding part. And it gives you the most bang for your buck as far as your effort into stress and dealing with stress. You accept these assumptions, you accept these ideas that life is a certain way, or your organs are a certain way, or your job is a certain way, or the structure of maybe your medical healing is a certain way. Even the structure of how you deal with your transportation or your travel. You make assumptions that you have to do this, you have to do that. And then you find somebody else who found freedom. You meet somebody and they show you a way that was a new way to do it, or a different rule, or a different guidebook, or a different exception to the rule. And you say, wow, that person found freedom. And I can do that too.
Oh, that's just beautiful. The no assumptions, and just assume that if you've learned it, you can unlearn it. And how, I've got to ask you one question, because you got a little bit of time. You just whipped through that for real and just had some truth bombs in there. But your modality of what you do in functional medicine and NLP with chiropractic, the invisible disability, give us a couple of tips for our audience about how you will unlearn this. Please share.
Well, I think a good example was, there was a time that I was leading a coma recovery team in Minnesota, and I walked into the room and I saw the patient for the first time, and we were examining what was going on, and we're trying to figure out how to bring this person out of a coma. And I was part of that group, and I was one of those leaders. And so I walked into a room full of doctors and the patient, and they had described to me all that they were doing to this patient. They were just doing everything to this person. They were doing stimulations and adjustments and flashing lights and moving their bodies. And this person is, unresponsive in a coma. And so we went up to the person and started to examine her, and saw that her eyes were in different positions, and her posture was a certain way, and there was differences in her arms and differences in her legs side to side. And so I snapped my fingers in one ear and the heart rate went up, and I snapped my fingers in the other ear and the heart rate went down. And then I did it again and again and again. And I asked the doctors in the room, I said, any of you who don't know how to explain that particular reason why this person had their heart rate go up when you snap your fingers in one ear and go down when you snap your fingers in the other ear, you need to stop doing your stimulus, because you don't know what the effect is on that person. So the first thing that we did was we took away a whole bunch of stimuli that were too much for this person. We just took away a bunch of stuff. We took away foods. There was a bunch of brassica vegetables being fed to the patient. Brassica is of course the sulfur containing foods that are, powdered broccoli, powdered cauliflower. And we found that this person in a coma was producing lots of gas, which is pretty normal. You and I have probably experienced that. Maybe not you, but certainly just me.
Ask my husband. I'm a gassy woman.
You get gas. We all get gas from sulfur, and we do this. Now, if you're in a coma and you burp up gas, or you have some gas that comes up, or you start to cough or choke, you can aspirate, re-suck that back in and die. So it was very important for us to do another thing with this person, which was just remove all this broccoli containing protein powders and things that the person was given. So most of my job that day was to remove a bunch of stuff that was being done for this person. And of course they got a lot better, and then we could start adding things and trying new things. But part of that recovery was removing a bunch of stimuli and removing a bunch of therapies that we were doing because they were a little too much. And
beautiful.
That was an important step, and that reduced a whole lot of stress for the family. It reduced a lot of stress for the caregivers and a lot of stress for the patient. Of course, they're not conscious, but it's still stressful for them. So everybody was like, wow, we can do less and get more. And so a lot of times I tell people, I want you to focus on your life. I want you to focus on your work. I want you to focus on your fulfillment. I want you to focus on your recreation and your family, because all this doctoring, all this stuff you're doing may be too much. And so sometimes I give somebody that, that little blessing that says, stop doing all the healing, or not stop, but reduce it down to a small percentage a day of the really important stuff, and spend the rest of the time with your fulfillment, with your family, with your recreation, and kind of forget about the avocation that you've got of healing. because these people spend all day trying to get better. They go to doctor after doctor, and they go home and they do enemas, and they do concoctions, and they do different packs on their bodies, and they blast themselves with waves of all kinds. That stuff is great, but it should be about 5% of your life. It shouldn't be all this time consuming. So you have to tell your family, no, I can't go fishing with you. No, I can't rest with you and sit with you. No, I can't spend time with you. I've got to go to the doctor. I've got to do my regimen. That's too much regimen.
Too much where it's what you do, but it's what you become. And boy, that was, thank you for sharing that Rocky Mountain miracle story, even though it was back in my used to be home state and yours as well, Dr. Michael. So hang around as we move up the horn, will you please?
Thank you.
And so now we have Dr. Caxton Opere. I'm not sure whether you're back in Texas or where you are. You just are everywhere, doing your healing work. I know no one that's created a real modality in his medical career, but you are a modality unto yourself, Dr. Caxton. Thank you for what you do and who you are. And so share with us about our topic of stress. Thank you for being here on Dr. Talk.
Thank you, Jody. Thank you, everyone. So when looking at stress, I want a perspective that people can call holistic in today's world. And if you look at stress from several aspects historically, doctors were told emotional stress does not lead to physical illness. And it started as far back as the 14th century with René Descartes. So we bought this lie for centuries that there is no connection between your emotional state and your physical illnesses. And they always call people who try to link those quacks. Guess what? One of the things that we measure that tells us that a person is lying and is a criminal is a lie detector test. Now, if there is no connection between the mind and the body, how then does a lie detector work? So you can see right away that there is a problem here, a dissociation between reality. And so stress, when it occurs in your body, let's start with this. Mental stress can manifest as a medical symptom. Marital stress can manifest as a medical symptom. As a matter of fact, what are those things that we see that give us a clue that you're stressed out? I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm an internist. But anger can double your risk of a heart attack or a stroke. Hostility can raise your blood pressure.
Wow.
And double your risk of dying. And these are studies that are not new. They've been done as far back as the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. For example, the panic attack. We all know people have panic attacks.
Oh, yeah.
But did you know that a divorce can more than triple your risk of developing panic attacks? Now, everybody knows it's okay to have a few panic episodes every now and then.
Episodes.
But it is a dangerous thing. And one of the reasons why we have anxiety, panic attacks, depression, anger, and hostility, which are the emotional outputs of the internal stress that we are suffering, they become medical illnesses. For example, there's a gentleman called Mittelman. As far back as 1995, they studied about 1,623 patients. Almost 1 out of every 5 of those patients had a heart attack. All of them had a heart attack. But 1 out of 5 had a heart attack within 2 hours of an anger episode. Now, you can want to be stressed out, but I think the world that we live in today tells you if you go on a stress diet where all you eat is stress, you're going to kill yourself faster than you can imagine. One of the ways we kill ourselves is getting married to the wrong person. I mean, not everybody can marry you and make you happy or at peace with yourself. You know, some people get married, Jody, they're not happy, but they're at peace. And they say, I'd rather be at peace than try to be happy and lose everything and lose my mind. So they're okay not being really, really happy, but being at peace because they know what they want. For them, peace is extremely important. So I'll say with this, if you want to lower your stress levels, number one, we are not born losers. We're born choosers. Choose.
Ooh.
Decide what you want. Maya Angelou said this. You may have no control over the things that happen to you, but your choice, it's your choice to not be reduced by even the most horrible things that can happen to you. Like I had experienced when I was a little child and lost my mother at the age of 13. I don't think anybody expected me to become a medical doctor because of the adversities that I encountered. But I made a choice. And every step along the way, I've always had to make a choice. Some of the time people got me burnt, but the internal choices that we make about how we respond to troubles, challenges, and problems are eventually going to either keep us healthy or turn us into an inferno internally of multiple illnesses and disorders. And to say it straight without mixing words, if you get angry, you more than double your risk of a heart attack. You narrow the arteries that send blood to the brain. That's called atherosclerosis. You can increase your risk of a stroke, and even getting divorced, ladies and gentlemen, can double the risk of sudden death. And to put this in proper perspective, everything you do that stresses your body eventually comes out as some form of illness, one way or another. My goal is to make sure that you understand that even at that romantic phase when you're feeling good with yourself, that you make excellent choices first about who you choose to date and marry the right person. Because if you don't do those two things right, everything else goes wrong.
And you are living proof with that wonderful Ada Opere. You, ladies and gentlemen, just go on his Instagram. You can feel the love in that picture. And all I can say, you can have that stress, or you can listen to the expert, Dr. Caxton. Let's just go quack, 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 because it's good stuff. Thank you, Dr. Caxton. You always have such amazing words, your inspiration, your hope, and just who you are. Much love.
Thank you.
Natasha Halladay. We have to have some other estrogen in the house. Give us what you have from a sociologist perspective, my dear. And
I'm just going to correct you. It's social worker.
There we go. Yes. And social worker, registered therapist, registered everything. I've even had you as a doctor because I think it's prophetic out there, but it's the doctor to be. But you are the doctor of faith and humor in putting it together in your practice. Share with us about your take on stress.
So what's so funny is when I heard Dr. Caxton, I was like, people are going to think I know him, and we planned this because I wanted to talk about the mind-body connection with stress. What I want to present about it is different, but that's precisely where I wanted to go. So what I wanted to remind people too, that we hold stress physically in our bodies. And so what I often say in my therapy practice to my clients is, think about it this way. We take medicine usually as a way to respond to an illness. We take our vitamins to keep our levels at certain places to hopefully prevent illness. And so I talk to them about managing stress like you use your daily vitamins. So on a day where you do feel stressed, you might do something. On a day where you don't feel stressed, you still do something. Because it's understanding that we are constantly bombarded by things that we might interpret as stressful. And so that's being held in our bodies, and we're containers. So the more it fills up, the more we likely come to the overflow pace. So this is where sometimes people see things like panic attacks. So I always say to people, since stress is always being poured in, we have to be intentional to pour it back out. And that looks different for everybody. So, and pouring out is tapping into the places where you find joy and you find peace. And that can be exercising faith-based things. It can be engaging in exercise. It can be, for me, if I'm by water, half my stress drops. Like I live by the lake. I'm 5 minutes away. When I go for a walk by the lake, I'm in heaven, because that just, all the stress melts away. The first tide that takes it out, it's gone. So knowing that for me is definitely one way that I engage in my stress release. And it's about being intentional to have a daily practice. And it doesn't have to be the same thing. So we can journal, we can engage in artistic activities if we're, artistically inclined. I never thought I'd get to this point in my life, but now housework reduces my stress because the more organized and clean my space, the more clear my mind is.
Yes.
And so
You're
my
taking
mother's
control
probably
and
somewhere
clarity,
smiling.
like what Dr. Mike said, that control and clarity. There you go. I just had to throw
Yes,
that in.
indeed, indeed. And I was laughing at it as I was listening to things. I'm like, there's so much alignment in what I was thinking about, chatting about. So one of the other things that I wanted to address in terms of stress, especially from a mental health and emotional perspective, is perception is key. And so think about it. I'm wearing glasses, so my glasses provide a lens that help me see things in a certain way. So we can encounter a situation, and I know Dr. Caxton already talked about being a chooser versus a loser, and that's about that perception piece. How am I going to choose to see this thing that has come, whether by choice or not, into my life? And then how you see it affects how it affects you, how the impact it has on you, right? So if I see it in a way where it's very stressful, then it's very stressful. If I see it as something that might be challenging, but I have the tools to deal with it, I may not feel the same level of stress. And that hasn't changed what the situation or the stimulus is. So I have to be intentional to look at how am I receiving this situation? And what I often say to my clients is ask yourself on first attempt of seeing it, is there another way to see this? So when you see it as this is stressful, this is going to do me in, is there another way to see this? And it's not about lying to yourself, but it's about recognizing that on first impact, we may not always receive it as in a way that benefits us. So let's reevaluate. Let's look at it again from different angles and see if can I even just feel less stress because I understand it differently.
What a great PPI to pour out. It's your perception and it's your intention. So give us your last 30 seconds to wind up this wonderful part of Dr. Talk. Soon to be Dr. Natasha.
So the last thing that I would say is, and this really came to me when I read Atomic Habits, was create some ease in your stress management. So in Atomic Habits, they talk about when you want to develop habits, create ease in it. So what can you do to make it easier? So for one thing I like to do, because I like to walk, what made it easier for me was to have the outfit I was going to wear when I was going to go for a walk ready, running shoes at the door. And so when I woke up, I knew that there were less steps to take to make that happen. When I want to drink lots of water, I want to stay hydrated, I keep bottles of water. I get up in the morning, I fill bottles of water, and I put them in the rooms that I spend most of my time in, so that I don't have to remember to carry it.
You're intentional to create ease, which will remove disease. And so will you hang around so we can wrap this wonderful hour together around, please? Thank you so much for your expertise and your heart. So I'm going to just wrap a couple of things because I'm the weight loss queen. With 1 million pounds of toxic fat loss, I'm going to just give you a couple of tips because it is stress. You see, cortisol dumps into our body because of stress. How stressed have we become since the pandemic, since the shutdown? What's true, what's not true. But when you transform you've heard this over and over and over again. So I'm going to just try in a couple of minutes here to tie things together. When you transform because transformation and taking charge of you is an inside job. It's not a diet, because in that word diet is diet. Do I want to die? No, I want to create wholeness. I want to create control, clarity, live in this meat suit. Know that I don't have to have an invisible malady because I'm happy, whole, I'm intentional. I am doing things, as Dr. Caxton said, I am choosing. And this is what you choose. Transformation is an inside job. Keto, non-keto, paleo, et cetera, et cetera. Are you vegan, diet for your blood type, for this type, for any type? I can tell you, I've seen this over and over and over again in 42 years. This is going to blow your mind. Now, you can still go to drjod.com because I will help. I will help you in all these 6 pillars of your life. But it could be the air diet. Dr. Bill and I talked about it. It could be the air diet, and it's going to work. Why? Because the transformation and the connection happened within that meat suit from within. When you connect from within, the weight goes out. That's why I'm proud to say that I've only got a 5% recidivism rate with my clients. See, when you cleanse and detoxify and continue on a precise protocol that isn't looked up at Walgreens, GNC, Whole Foods, whatever, this is where a trained professional that knows how to do this for you. It's not like Spanx, that one size fits most. You mind your health as you're creating your wealth. Doesn't that make sense? So when you get all your wealth, you don't have to spend all of your wealth trying to regain your health. This is what this is all about today. So cleanse and detoxify, find into your why. And then, because we're sitting here on Zoom, we're sitting, and that's a whole new thing that we're going to talk about, one topic about electromagnetic radiation and frequency. We're sitting there creating Zoom bodies, Zoom belly, because sitting is the new smoking. So get up and move and recreate something different, because this is what we're doing here, giving you one precept, one tip upon a time with this stress. You know, we're doing with myself, with my clients, we're doing on the 27th. And I'm going to get to the other 5, what they're up to and how you can get in touch with them. If you just go to my website, drjodee.com, that's my name, JODEE.com. And I will tell you, we've got on the 27th, we are going to go ahead and have an amazing time where we're coming together on that detoxifying thing. Does your liver quiver? If not, what you got? We'll find out, because when you face your stress, we'll get rid of the rest. 1 million pounds of toxic fat lost. I'm really proud of that honor and that collaboration with people that chose a different way. But the good news, the next pounds can be yours. And we'll be bringing the doctors up at just after our commercial break, which is with my absolute charity, La Casa Ropa de Sobre. But Jody, it's in Spanish. If you don't hear a thing of what these doctors were saying, you can feel them, and you can feel these children coming into their adults. So take a look.
Soy Marta Isabel Rojas Cortés, representante legal de la Fundación La Casa Sobre la Roca, entidad sin ánimo de lucro creada el 15 de marzo del 2018 en el corregimiento de Chagres, municipio de Jamundí. Un elemento principal del objeto social de la Fundación es la recuperación del patrimonio cultural ancestral afrodescendiente. Por esta razón, el quehacer cultural de la Fundación reside en las actividades artísticas y musicales. La Fundación La Casa Sobre la Roca cuenta en la actualidad con una serie de programas de formación dirigidos principalmente a la niñez y a la juventud. Estos son algunos de los programas que ofrecemos. La Escuela de Modelaje Afro, que busca inculcar la importancia de valorar nuestras costumbres con los peinados, vestuarios y maquillajes propios de la cultura afrocolombiana.
So that's La Casa Ropa, and I will tell you, if you see on the bottom banner there, my 2 books that I've done with Ignite, along with our Ignite Foundations of Health that we're starting at the end of September, looking for key practitioners, key famous doctors, and key people that are pedestrians that just have a great influence on how their health has been changed. The profits of those 3 books go to La Casa Ropa de Sobre. Wanted to let you know that, but I wanted to let you know that we're bringing our guests back up here, and at one at a time. Let's do our thing, because I want to hear from all of you. This has been a true party, hasn't it? We agree, a true party. So start with Dr. Bill. You were the first on the horn. What we're going to answer is that one final minute of your wisdom. There's so much in there. Mr. Mission and Meat Suit, if you have a free gift or how they can get a hold of you and work with you.
My handle's right there on my my nameplate right there. You can catch me there on Instagram. And we can go there. And I don't think it's about my wisdom. The thing that I found totally interesting is you have all these medical alternative professionals that work on the ologies and work with patients. And it's the same thing. It's like when Natasha was saying, it's the same thing. It's the mind, body first. I want the listeners to think about that rather than going looking for the pill, potion, or powder that's going to cure them all the way. Go back into yourself and heal. Because, like you said, look at the genius in this on this chat on this thing, and we're all saying the same thing. Is like, dudes and dudesses, get your thoughts in order, and that'll drive your stress away. So
Beautiful.
it's not about me, but just listen to the theme of the experts.
Yes, and it's a beautiful theme. It's a beautiful theme about this piece of self. And Dr. Michael, I'm just going to go straight around the bottom, that you at your young age are the guru for the Dr. Bill. What do you have about your last piece of wisdom, Dr. Michael?
I think the most important thing is for people that are sitting there watching this to realize that there are people that have found solutions for your problems. They're waiting to help you. You are not alone. There are people who have dedicated their lives to finding answers, and you're confused and you're sitting there going, I don't know what to do. And there are people that are just waiting to give you help and answers and directions. Talk to each other, go out and look for it. Don't rely on your institutions. Don't rely on your popular media. Don't rely on what is told to you from the top down. Go out and talk to people, talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, go search online, look for stuff and stumble. Sometimes you're going to find dumb stuff, but generally, if you look with a pure heart, you're going to find people that want to help you and that have found answers to your problems. I assure you, every problem out there, somebody's found an answer for.
Amen.
Amen. Beautiful, beautiful. Dr. Caxton, give us your choice, your thoughts, Dr. C. They're so good.
Sure. I think people have to understand that they really have power. And most of that power is in one organ, the human mind. It's not the pill. People ask me, what should I do? Then I know they're on a path to wanting to get well. When they say, what can I take? They're looking for a shortcut. It's the whole person. The greatest power lies in your mind. You know, even the Bible in a disguised way says the kingdom is within you. Don't go out there looking for that kingdom. There's so much that's been put, and everyone that has overcome obstacles knows this reality, that when they dug in within themselves, that's where the strength came from. Now you can say God put the strength in deep within us. And sometimes it's the troubles that we encounter that uncover or excavate what's lying deep within us. And that's the key. Something is deposited inside every human soul, and it takes pain to crack it open sometimes. But whatever it is, it's in you.
It is in you. My goodness. Natasha, give us from the social working expertise and heart that you so have.
So I talked about dealing with stress by understanding that it's poured into the body, whether we want it to be or not. And so we pour out by exercising ways of, releasing stress, but also be intentional to pour back in peace and joy by engaging in the things that bring you peace and joy and thinking about things in ways that bring you peace and joy. So as you're pouring out, make sure you're filling it back in with the good stuff.
With the good stuff. And I'm going to say, as this relay with Dr. Talk, Dr. Mike, I know you know this one. Just be the anchor leg on this relay. Bring us your last thoughts, please.
Well, everybody said what I wanted to say, right? It's such great to have like-minded people on a great panel of people. But, you know, like Dr. Mike said, people don't know where to go anymore because the conventional doctors with their drugs and surgeries are not the answer. And everybody knows that now, but where do they go? So they don't know what to do. So they need people like us. And that's why these talks we have for everybody to listen to are great, because we can guide those people in the right direction. Once they make the decision, they want to, take control of their health or choose health freedom, then they need the skills, and we can help them with the skills as long as they're willing. People like us have the skills to get them in the right direction. And when it comes to the stress, it seems that we all agree that everything's in the mind. It's about controlling your emotions, learning the skills on how to control those emotions, because we have the freedom to choose our response. So instead of just reacting, let's think about it and let's have options before we make a decision or before we get stressed about something. And, you know, like myself now, I'm a rookie when it comes to manifesting and those types of things. So now I have a mentor that is rewiring my brain and helps me and you know, teaches me the strategies to rewire my brain, because if we keep on doing the same things over and over again, we're going to get the same results. So in order to heal ourselves, yes, and we all agreed on that today, we need to really work on our mind, rewire our brain, and do things differently. And I need a mentor in that aspect too. So, you know, if you want to be better, if you want to live your dreams, you know, just get people to help you and go for it.
Beautiful. And, you know, we started, Dr. Bill, with self, then we went to people and solutions, Dr. Mike. This is just a pure heart. We have the power, pour in, pour out. And you gave us the S, Dr. Mike, with the skills. So what I can say from 1985 and that goal card, that we will create this Eastern version of the PDR with this foundational healthopedia. Now we're here doing this book together. Many of you are in the book about Ignite Your Foundational Health. And then think about what we're doing here with Dr. Talk and what we've started. As I'm popping back over to our 12-hour room on Clubhouse, it is Women's Equality Day, but there's so many men in there that are supporting it, because at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, we need each other. And so be back here as we go through each and every fourth Thursday, it'll be September 22nd. It was unanimous that we're going to talk about inflammation. And as Dr. Bill said on our back channel, it will be swell. Don't you really want to know to get rid of the swell so you can live well? And I'll be back here tonight with executive raw and real coach Christopher Rausch. Can you believe that he trusted me enough, ladies and gentlemen, in this panel? As he filled out his form, he said, just surprise me with questions. I'd like to be surprised. So it's going to be a real surprise at 6 p.m. tonight. And then back after Milkshake Moments on Thursday, we're back here Monday at noon to Mindset Monday. But just remember, ladies and gentlemen, mind your health. As you're creating, I said this before, and creating your wealth. So at the end of your life, you're not spending your wealth trying to recapture your health. You heard from 5 experts, more degrees than you could ever imagine, of 200 people on this panel today, because successful macro living is found in a macro life. What are you doing in those little things? Les Brown said it is necessary to know that only you can do what you need for yourself, knowing that your life depends on it and no one else. Because guess what? It is necessary to do what you can do. So until we have this next beautiful time together on, whether it's tonight with Chris Rausch and Milkshake Mondays or Milkshake Moments, Mindful Mondays, as we do Mindset Mondays on Monday, or on the 22nd with this amazing panel, much honor, love, and respect for each of you. I'm going to say, have a healthy and great health sandbox way. Yourselves and Dr. J. Ciao for now.